I would now like to call to order the November 8th, 2023 meeting of the Indiana State Board of Education. Roll call, please.
Good morning, Mr. Bess. Ms. DeLosa.
Here.
And Mr. Bess is on. We didn't hear him in here, but I do see him. Scott, can you hear us? He cannot.
Muted.
Can you check on Scott, please? Thank you. Ms. DeLosa is here.
Okay. Mr. Durham. Dr. Ernest.
Present.
Ms. Hamill.
Here.
Mr. Gastineau.
Here.
Mr. Maples.
Mapes.
Mapes. Sorry.
That's a good
Oh, I
name for
like
you,
that.
though.
You're
Sorry,
intrigued.
so I'm totally distracted by that.
That's
Mr.
really good, to
Mapes,
be honest.
I like
I've
it.
been called a lot worse. So
I like it.
I've got a friend in the neighborhood. His last name is Maples.
yep,
So.
not a problem.
Ms. Moat.
Here.
Ms. Rentschler.
Here.
Mr. Watts.
Here.
And Dr. Jenner.
Here.
Okay. We have a
And
quorum.
I'm checking, thank you. And I'm checking on Scott. Can you hear us, Scott? No, he can't. It has to be something on his end though, right? 'Cause we're all
Okay, I
good to
sent him a
go.
text. I said, during roll call, can you hear us? He said no.
Yeah, he might have to log off and log back on. Okay, let's go ahead and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
The motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from October 4th, 2023 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
With a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. So first thing is we have a new face here. Our general counsel for years, Chad Ranney, is now a deputy of budget management, which is a huge role with the state. He's right in there with the folks writing our state's budget. And so we have a new general counsel that I'd love if he would come up and introduce himself.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Jenner. Again, my name is Philip Gordon. Come to you, excited to be here from the Attorney General's office. Been with the office, or was with the office for about 4.5 years, 6 years total. I'd done some work in litigation. Over the past 4.5 years, though, I've really focused more on my practice, more on education law and policy issues. I assisted the Commission for Higher Education, was one of my clients, one of my bigger clients. Also assisted the 2 state schools, the School for the Deaf and the School for the Blind, with a lot of their issues over the past few years too. Been married to an educator for 17 years, and that's had a huge influence on my life as well. We currently reside in the Zionsville area, very involved with their school system. But no, excited to be here, excited to be working with the board. If the board has any questions, feel free to reach out, but looking forward to doing good things with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. We're glad to have you too. Welcome. And I will note you worked for 3 different attorney generals, also deputy general counsel at Indiana State University.
Correct.
You have a good amount of experience that you're bringing to us, so we're glad to have you. Thank you.
Better than I could.
Well, I don't know about that, but thank you. All right. A few things. The first thing is, as we know, Veterans Day is on Friday. Many of our schools throughout the state will have massive celebrations. In many cases, the school celebration is the heart of the community celebration, where the veterans come in, and pretty moving ceremonies and services will be occurring on Friday throughout our state that our schools will host. And so at this time, I would ask, are there any veterans in the room? If you could please stand, we'd like to recognize you. Thank you for your service. Since our last meeting, it has been fast and furious all over the state with school visits, which quite frankly is one of my favorite things to do, one of our team's favorite things to do, to get out in the schools, to listen, to see how we can best support. Been down in Evansville, seen BJ a number of times on school visits, was able to visit specifically, you're not calling it an apprenticeship, but it's almost like a pre-apprenticeship at Berry Global, where you have students from all of your EVSC high schools coming to Berry Global for class. I might have you share a little bit more about that here shortly, because it is a powerful opportunity for kids that just launched in Evansville. Also was down in Evansville for the Junior Achievement Job Spark. Of course, there's a massive job spark here right in central Indiana, where thousands of eighth graders come to the Indiana Fairgrounds to learn about careers. And in Evansville, they had about 4,300 eighth graders, about 11 counties who all brought their students to Evansville. It was a fantastic event, so really enjoyed that, and also got to see the community dynamic that you have and the partnership there. And again, I'll yield a couple minutes here after. I'd love for you to share some more. Also, from Evansville to the...
Scott is on. He just said.
Oh, Scott Bass, can you hear us?
Yes, I got it.
Okay,
now.
good.
I am present. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. From Evansville to northern Indiana, Lake County, Porter County, visited a number of different schools who had at least 95% passing in iRead. And one of them in particular that I was really impressed with was in Valparaiso. It was a dual language school. They had... They were teaching the students Spanish simultaneously as they were teaching the students English. Free reduced lunch rate above state average, and they were still above 95% of students passing iRead 3. I mean, just very, very focused on what they were doing. And that was, again, one of several schools we visited. I'll just quickly mention that was Parkview Elementary School that I just mentioned. We also have visited Lebanon High School to look at their Rethinking High School work. They have a lot of work-based learning experiences that are occurring. Of course, Lebanon is really the hub for the hard tech corridor that's going to run in Indiana between Indianapolis and Lafayette. So their mayor is very involved. A lot of people at the table there. Exciting to watch that synergy happen. Also, Perry Worth Elementary School, Pittsboro Elementary and Primary Schools, Critchfield Elementary School, and LaPorte, South Central School Corporation, and I could go on and on. Today, I will be headed to an Indianapolis Elementary School, and then on to Fort Wayne this evening to see some of what they're doing in the Rethinking High School space, so I'll definitely report back. You know, as board members, we have the opportunity to discuss and pass administrative policy when it's appropriate, but to actually get out in our schools and see what's happening is very important. So the other highlight that we are going to hear about as a board today is the team from Western Community Schools under the leadership of Superintendent Mark Dubois. And I'll have you pause real quick. Sorry, it was a little premature. I'm doing board comments, and then I'm going to bring you up again. I'm going to say your name a couple times. I'll give you the signal. We asked them to come share how they are going to spend some of their money that they won at the gala. So they're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we also have a highlight on the state of computer science in Indiana from our Chief Academic Officer, Lynn Schemmel. But on that note, I'll pause and offer the opportunity for any other board members to make comments or reports. Do you want to say anything about Berry Global or?
Oh, absolutely. Our Berry Global is actually the largest plastics company in the world, 65,000 employees on 5 continents, and its world headquarters is in Evansville, Indiana, so we're really fortunate there. They actually built a classroom inside of one of their facilities, and anyone that's in that world knows how precious warehouse space is. So it was a commitment on their end. We have 25 students, 25 juniors that are in there right now. And next year, 25 juniors, 25 seniors. In their junior year, they complete all their NLPS courses. And then their senior year, they go in and they're doing a 5-department rotation inside Berry's manufacturing facility, their warehouse facility. The greatest thing that we've seen about it, and Katie kind of saw it when she came down in action, is we don't have to go out and search and everything for people to bring in. Like their Berry's departments fight to come in and talk with our kids and run through, okay, this is why this is important. We actually had a student who's an honors student, academic honors diploma, say that why he loves it so much is it's relevant to him, because the math course he's taking isn't relevant to him, and the German he's taking isn't relevant to him. And then the Berry employees there said, well, hold on, the math you're doing is relevant, and this is because why. And the German, we have places all over Germany, so if you can speak German, so now you're also an asset to us. So it's nice to see them kind of bringing that, how the relevance to the work that they're doing. Been an amazing partner. I know they appreciated you coming down. They were grateful. It's exciting, but super, super excited to see where that goes. Almost all of our programs, there's some attrition. Some kids leave it, just not for them. And we've had 0 leave this program, so excited by it.
Thank you for that update. And I'm sure there will be more updates to come. You know, and there are opportunities throughout the state that are right now seeded, if you will, right? We have spots of where we see these, and I think what we grapple with most days as board members and even as team members out in the audience is, you know, how might we open that up for all students to have access to these types of opportunities where they see the relevance, where they're building the skills right in that workplace. And we know that it's K-12 and it's also business and industries like Berry Global leaning in with us. So thank you for that update, BJ. Any other board comments or reports? All right, seeing none, we'll go to public comment. Kendra Johnson. Good morning.
Good morning to each and every one. So much to say, so little time, so I hope you can keep up. First of all, I'd like to recognize all the different veterans. Thank you. Thank all of you for your service. My father served during the Korean War era. He got married on the 21st of June to my mom, and 2 days later, he was shipped out. So for all the families who also supported the veterans, thank you for your support and your patience. Also, I would like to send a salute to Clearwater Elementary School. That's where my 2 grandchildren, my only granddaughter, and my baby girl's youngest son go to. They had a Grandparents' Day on last Thursday and Friday, and a huge book fair. And wow, books really do cost now. And I made sure I bought them 2 books apiece and told them when I come to visit them that I expect them to read each of those books to me. Also, a salute to Bethune Preschool. It is where my forever 4 grandson, who we lost in a fire in 2017, attended. He loved school, he loved learning, and so, you know, my heart always goes to that preschool and all the other preschools as they prepare children for lifelong learning. And of course, since this is November, it's also Thanksgiving. And I have to say, what am I thankful for? I'm thankful for each and every educator that helped me help my children become academically successful, help them get their high school diplomas, the educators that went above and beyond, and also the administrators, those that invested in my children, believed in my children and other children throughout the state. You know, sadly, I had to send a couple of my children out of the city of Gary because they were not invested in like they should have been. And a few of them ended up leaving the state of Indiana, which is one of the reasons why I always sit down and talk with them about their experiences and why they wanted to leave. Because it's important to know what motivates children to want to stay in school, to learn, and what keeps them involved. Last month, we talked about absenteeism, and that's another huge factor. You know, what causes children to be absent? Is it chronic sickness? Is it because of situations within the school setting? You know, is it problems at home that, you know, things that they're missing, things that they need, how they're feeling emotionally, mentally? All of those are important factors. And when we get together and not just look at the causes, but do what we can to form partnerships to help alleviate and solve the problems, then we're showing the best action of investing in our students, because not only are these children our future, but they also are the future for other children that are to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing today, Kendra. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we're going to shift to presentations now. So I would love to invite Western Community Schools, led by Superintendent Mark DuBois. If you could come up to the mic, we'd love to have you introduce any presenter and then also anyone here from your school district today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jenner and State School Board for having us. My name is Mark DuBois. I'm Superintendent at Western School Corporation. I have with me Melissa DeWeese, our primary school principal, Nate Schmidt, our integration specialist for technology, and then we also have Jessica Hollingsworth, our reading specialist here. We've been privileged to receive 2 Excellence in Education grants in 2022 and 2023. And I believe, do we have slides for this?
Yeah, we do, and it's right up here. Nope, the other one. There you go. You were on it the first time. There you go. And do you have, let's make sure it
And
works
is the
for
clicker
you.
working?
Yep, there you go.
There we go. So the 2 awards that we received, one was for academic gains in 2022 and then for early literacy in 2023, which has really sparked a lot of things for our community. I'm going to focus on 2022 and then pass this off to Nate. But with the 2022 grant, $500,000 award, we focused on engaging our community and staff for input for future development, growth, and sustainability for best practices and corporation direction that aligns with our mission. And our mission at Western is to educate and inspire today's students for tomorrow's opportunities. And with some of the pillars that we focused on were professional learning communities. And so we were empowering our educators to work collaboratively and collectively for better results as they serve their students. We're focusing on applied educational neurosciences at Butler University for brain and body state of our educators, co-regulation, touch points, and then also teaching our students about their brain and body states. And then also we've focused on redesigning our libraries because we wanted to create an active and vibrant space for student learning that focuses on our employability, skills, and innovation. And so I'm going to pass this over to Nate, and he's going to talk about some of the innovative things that we are doing in our libraries.
Morning.
Morning.
Thanks for having me. It's quite an honor. So just kind of highlight some of the things we added to our libraries. We added interactive TVs in 3 of our 4 libraries. We've made them more collaborative based. Thank you. More creative. We've added padcasters with green screens. We added makerspace tables with like stools that magnetize underneath it, power strips in the middle for them to use. What else do we have there? Teacher Geek STEM carts. So we have those available to our teachers, and there's a curriculum that goes along with that allows the students to create and go through the whole design process and trial and error. And we also were able to repurpose my office as like a model STEM lab. So I've got everything we have in our libraries. The teachers can come to me and learn in a smaller setting. And we've also added a laser cutter in my office as well. And I actually have coasters that I printed off for you guys and cut for you guys as a gift. So I appreciate that. So then we have that. And then we also have a drone that we purchased that we use for aerial shots of our school. And we'll also use in clubs and sports as necessary as well. So we're able to add those tools to our corporation. In addition, some of the highlights that we've done already in our STEM spaces, we've got language arts students that created a robotics using water and hydraulics and had like a judo robot battle bot competition. But the language art teacher did that under the premise of technical reading and writing. So it's not just a science space. We do have science teachers using it. They created a windmill and had the students alter the blades of the windmill to increase output and power. And the students were able to measure that using the tools from our STEM carts. Social studies students used the interactive TVs and the green screens to make presentations over ancient Egypt in their classroom and present it to their fellow classmates. Math students used it, yeah, just like that. Math students used it in the high school. They did like a scavenger hunt for the pre-calc students. They had to move around to different TVs and work out the problems on the TV in groups. 6th grade students are designing and printing their own characters with the 3D printers and printing those characters from the Sleepy Hollow story. And they're all creating those from hand. They're not just finding like a 3D image online. They're actually using shapes and the design tool from Tinkercad to create those shapes. Jessica is going to have a STEM morning group that are going to create ornaments for Christmas time and have their students paint those, and also using the STEM carts on a week-to-week basis. And then the last one I'll highlight here is our science students in the middle school are making like a 10-step Rube Goldberg machine using the tools from the STEM carts as well. So all these things I've mentioned today were impossible a year ago and are now made possible from what we're able to do in our library. So I really appreciate the investment in us, and yeah, I thank you very much. So I'm going to turn it over to Melissa now.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Jenner and the board. We, this year, were awarded the Excellence in Early Literacy Award, Western Primary. We house students in K through 2. And it was quite an honor to be at the gala. To say that they rolled out the red carpet is exactly what they did. And when we took our teachers, excuse me, when we were able to take our teachers there, it was just such an honor for them. My favorite part of the evening was one of the teachers turned around as she was listening to them talk about different educators, and she turned around and looked at me. She said, "I can't believe we get to be here with these people." And I said, "You are these people." So it was just a big boost to them to know that all of what they were doing in the classrooms was being honored and recognized. So it's not often as a principal that you get a big chunk of money laid on your desk and say, "Here, what do you want to do to elevate programs in your school?" So it's been a very interesting and exciting time for us. When we looked at what we could do to elevate our literacy programs, one of the things that we noticed is we don't have a whole lot of space in our building, and we don't have a preschool program, so a lot of our kindergartners come to us without having any schooling. So one of the things that we are going to use the money for is to create a mobile literacy lab. So we are going to buy an RV and renovate it so that we can take it into the community, take it into our economically disadvantaged neighborhoods, use it at our school, but we can go and get those kiddos before they come to us and get those the skills that they need, the phonemic awareness and everything with the science of reading. So we'll be able to get them before they even come to us. So we're super excited about that. This is going to be a reality for us. And I'm going to let Jessica kind of explain more about what we're going to do with that.
Thank you. So a little bit about our mobile literacy lab. The lab's going to be fully equipped with the most recent technology, and our hope is to use that technology to engage students in hands-on learning, all focused around the science of reading, phonics-based literacy instruction, but in addition, bringing early comprehension to life. So one item that we hope to purchase is an OB floor projector. Creates a space for students to actively learn through interactive play, using their body to engage in different tasks, like, for example, moving letters around to build the words that we are teaching. And kind of like in an augmented reality video game type atmosphere. So they're engaging all three areas of their brain while learning through play. Some other technology tools we hope to purchase are Inspire interactive panels and a Bluetooth listening booth. In addition to the latest and greatest technology, we also have plans for some of the tried and true popular items that have stood the test of time, like puppet show area, a reader's theater area, and then, of course, this comfortable lounge seating for the students to snuggle up with a new book. In addition to our mobile space, we're also investing in creating some reading hubs within our building. We want to purchase a book vending machine to use as reading incentives and other incentives throughout our school. And then we're also encouraging our teachers to transform their classroom spaces, inspired by some of the books they are reading in class, to create those core memories for our students by transporting them to the characters' worlds. Thank you.
So just to close, just a couple things. You know, I've been in education for 24 years, and I can think of 3 big highlights that we've had when it comes to celebrating educators. In my building in 2012, we had the State Teacher of the Year, Melanie Park, in Huntington. And then in 2022 and 2023, these celebrations were pretty amazing. And so I just want to tell you thank you for supporting this program. There's been a number of highlights just in these past 2 years where we're creating excitement and energizing our staff and our community. We've engaged in other community partnerships because of this with some of our local universities, providing new opportunities to develop and empower learning and teaching in our buildings. We've provided rich professional development, which we're actually doing today. Right now, we have Dr. Desitels and Dr. Page from Solution Tree and Butler giving training to our staff today. And then just creating avenues to eliminate the barriers for students and families to engage in improved learning. And so that's what we're really excited about, and it couldn't have been possible without the awards for excellence in education. So thank Dr. Estes as well. I know there's a lot of work that goes on for that, so thank you for your time.
Thank you, and before you leave, any board questions or comments?
Congrats. I mean, it's really nice for us to see. I mean, the awards are amazing. It's one of my favorite nights of the year, but it's kind of nice to see what happens after the fact. And the fact that every dollar is being spent to improve things for kiddos is pretty awesome. So good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
And yeah, go ahead. Iris.
Congrats. Just a quick question. Do you have any RV company contacts? If not, I can connect you, and maybe there's a way you can reduce the costs and the spend that you have to make.
You know, that we were actually talking about that on the way down, because we're in the process of having conversations with companies. And so if you have any connections there, I would love to see if you have better opportunities than we have right now. So I will leave my card, has my email, so yes. And if anybody's out there watching this and they have an RV, come and talk to us.
Yeah, I'm up in the land of all the RV companies, so we should
Perfect.
be able to, we should find somebody.
Awesome.
Any other board member comments? The one thing I'll just share is we really discovered what you were doing by reading your local paper. It was I think a front page article in your local paper that you're building this mobile literacy unit RV
Yeah.
for your various neighborhoods to really target in and engage. Are you targeting like after school? Are you targeting summertime? Are you going to have a person or people man it? What does that look like?
Yeah.
How are you going to get the kids from their homes into the mobile literacy space?
Yeah, so we're actually targeting both after school and summer. We're going to have our reading specialist, and we have some teachers that are lined up that are super excited about doing this. In our community, we have a few apartment complexes that really house a lot of our students, and so being able to go there and park it and just say, let's go, let's come, let's learn, and we'll be able to have inside the unit, plus we'll be able to set up things outside of the unit. So our hope is that we can get those preschoolers before they come to us in kindergarten. So next summer, hopefully we're rolling into those apartment complexes and getting them what they need.
Great. And will you keep us posted?
Absolutely.
We want to see the action shots of you
Absolutely.
there.
You'll have to come by for a ride.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, you were talking about all the school visits you make. We would
that's
love
true.
to have you. We would love to have you. You're
marking
welcome
it
anytime.
down. Yes, Western Community Schools, summer 2024. Got it. Well, thank you very much for coming to Indianapolis to share your work and your passion. We sure appreciate it. Thank you. At this time, I'll invite Lynn Schemmel, our Chief Academic Officer, to come up and share the state of computer science.
Great, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for providing us the opportunity to come today and share an update on the progress of the state STEM priorities, particularly in the area of computer science. The STEM team continues to push forward the state's STEM priorities, such as through the STEM cadres, STEM certification process, various professional learning opportunities, and increased access to high school courses to expand that foundational role of computer science education in not only reimagining high school opportunities, but also in framing our position on the importance of AI literacy for all K-12 students. I've asked Dana Calfee, our STEM and computer science specialist, to provide you with an update across the various STEM initiatives. Dana is instrumental in leading these initiatives. We have several grants that Dana oversees and works to maximize those dollars to schools, to maximize and further those STEM opportunities across the board to increase instruction and participation.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you all so much for the opportunity to speak here with you today. We've been on quite a journey with computer science in Indiana over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's really incredible to think that just that short time ago, we didn't have any computer science standards for K-8, and there were very few opportunities for high school students to take a computer science class. There were just a lot of things that were sort of missing from that puzzle, and so in order to have that growth and to see the things that we see here today, I'm just so happy to be here to talk to you about some of our initiatives and some of the work that we've done. And so when I was on the stage at the Global Computer Science Education Conference last week to receive this recognition, I was really humbled as I thought about the teams and the agencies, including the Student Pathways team that supports AP Computer Science, the CETE team that works so hard to build out our next level programs of study that offer foundational computer science courses, and also the educator talent team efforts to strengthen the STEM pipeline and help our computer science educators achieve licensing and advanced pedagogical knowledge. And our academics team for being the champions of a K-12 computer science pathway and working with educators to achieve high-quality computer science learning opportunities for Indiana students. And it's that collective effort that earned Indiana recognition for having 91% of our high schools offering foundational computer science, as well as being #1 in the Midwest. And I personally like to say that, I like to say that to folks in Indiana. So when compared to the national average of 57.5% of US high schools offering foundational computer science, we're really, truly a leader in the space. So the State of CS report is a combined effort of the Code.org Advocacy Coalition, the Computer Science Teachers Association, and the Expanding Computing Education Pathways Alliance. So some of this other data that I'm sharing with you here today, it just shows that not only is Indiana a leader in the number of high schools who offer foundational computer science, but it's no surprise that we are also among the top performing states in providing students in rural areas and in small schools the opportunity to have access to computer science. So additionally, while nationally Hispanic students are 1.4 times less likely than their white or Asian peers to enroll in a computer science class, in Indiana, students of all races and ethnicities are similarly likely to enroll and complete a foundational computer science course. And that's pretty amazing and something to be proud of. So how do we get there? Well, the on-ramp to support our high school students in computer science begins in kindergarten. And if I'm going to be completely honest, the early learning standards supported by the Office of Kindergarten Readiness include opportunities to build computational thinking skills before students ever even arrive in kindergarten. So it really is an effort across the board. So in kindergarten through grade 8, schools have a choice over implementation strategy for computer science. They can integrate across curriculum within other core subjects. They can have a rotation course, or they can have a standalone course that happens over the course of a semester with its own course code. So what we've seen through, based on information gathered through the Technology Plan Survey, is that schools and school corporations are increasing the amount of enrollments in standalone courses, and as they prioritize computer science, and as teachers become more prepared to teach computer science. One thing to note, and I know it's something that our team is very interested in pursuing conversations about and being very thoughtful about, is after the spring administration of the iLearn, where students in grades 4 and 6 will experience the redesign of the computer science portion of the assessment for the first time. That should provide us some discussion points or some focus points for considering the efficacy of these different implementation strategies across the state. So we would not be where we are today were it not for the $18 million in appropriations that have been granted to us since 2018. So funds have supported opportunities like the Designing for Impact grant to post-secondary institutions or organizations that provide nationally recognized high-quality professional development in computer science. And so the key deliverables from recipients of this grant sort of there's kind of a multi-pronged approach here. So we're really looking at helping pre-service teacher programs have more of an integrated approach with computer science and including that in their offerings and their methods courses, all the way up to teachers being able to have transferable credentials in the space. And so across the board, we rely heavily on the recipients of this Designing for Impact grant to help build out our PD infrastructure. Another grant that our team administers is the Computer Science Catalyst Grant. And this one, we were fortunate enough to get some tweaks to the legislative language to allow schools to be eligible to receive funding from the Next Level Computer Science Fund. And this particular grant I love the name of it because really what it's designed to do is just to catalyze the growth of whatever the school needs, whatever the school corporation needs. So if they already have an extensively built out computer science pathway, then there's opportunities for them through this grant, or all the way down to we're just initiating growth beyond just offering one course. What can we do? And so now they have the ability to propose and have funded those opportunities. This is probably one of the largest opportunities for Indiana educators to receive professional development in an intensive setting. This is called CSPD Week, and we are proud to partner with the National Computer Science Teachers Association, who secured a federal EIR grant to support a lot of this work. Also, the Indiana CSTA chapter and Next Tech, which is an Indiana nonprofit dedicated to K-12 computer science education.
And so this type of professional development, or the model for this professional development, is intensive professional development from a lot of different providers. Some providers are very focused on programming language. Some are focused on integration, like, for example, the integration of computer science with algebra. And then there are lots of opportunities for our K-5 educators. And then this intensive week is followed by embedded supports and coaching throughout the school year. And as you can see from the slide, the enrollment in this opportunity has increased over the last year. And because we went from 200 participants to 300 in 2023, that extra 100 participants was, the majority of those were K-5 teachers who are super excited about bringing computer science in a more integrated fashion into their classrooms. And so because of that growth, Next Tech has been able to secure additional funding to support an additional 100 K-5 educators in the 2024 CSPD week this time around. So that's very exciting for us too. I mentioned the professional development infrastructure that's supported by the Designing for Impact grant. We also, when we think about all of the different providers that help us provide not only a wide geographic distribution of opportunities, but also just when you think about computer science, there's just a large breadth of coverage there, whether it's cybersecurity or robotics, or whether it's K-12 standards. So we are fortunate to be able to work with these providers and maintain relationships with them to continue that growth for our teachers. Computer science is a required component of STEM certification. So over 100 schools recognize the importance of a critical focus on STEM and have participated in the journey to tell their own STEM stories through this process of becoming recognized as a STEM certified school. So last year, our team redesigned the guidelines to account for variability in STEM programming in the secondary space, resulting in the largest number of secondary schools becoming STEM certified. So many schools seek STEM certification, and they utilize funding awarded through STEM integration grants to develop STEM leaders, increase STEM pedagogy, and also increase access to STEM learning opportunities for students in their district. So our team is really, this program is a way that gives us a feet on the ground look at how computer science is being implemented in schools and also integrated in different spaces. And we are very excited and poised to capitalize on how updates to diploma requirements or the development of high-value credentials and increased work-based learning opportunities in the reimagination of high school, how those will impact STEM certification in the future. So one thing we also know from our experience with the STEM Certified Schools program is that we all approach STEM from different perspectives in K-12 schools. So the goal is to move from the siloed approach of having maybe the science teacher over here and the math teacher over here talking about the same topic on the same day, but just in different classrooms. The goal is to move away from that and calling that STEM and more towards an integrated approach. And so with integration being the goal, we still know that schools will, and different individual settings, will focus on science, math, and engineering because that's their unique experience. They'll approach STEM through science because that's their lens. With computer science as the T in STEM, we are seeing an increase in opportunities for that type of integration because computer science is ubiquitous in the application of STEM learning opportunities. And so no matter what lens you look through, computer science is always there as a foundational component that ties things together. Whoops, sorry about that. In addition to the work that's being done to build capacity for computer science in Indiana, we are also poised to leverage the K-12 integrated STEM standards that were passed as part of the streamlining of the academic standards in science, math, and technology just this past legislative session. So as another way to highlight the relevance and importance of computer science as foundational, we are focusing on these 5 domains of the integrated STEM standards and really trying to help folks understand the importance of applications and modeling and data and measurement, and as starting points for that conversation to integrate computer science into the STEM conversation. So we couldn't do this work in all spaces in Indiana and reach all the teachers and all the schools that need different types of support without the Indiana STEM cadre. So the STEM cadre is part of a coaching model that provides instructional coaches and in-school training to implement integrated STEM instruction for our students in grades 4 through 8. And part of the focus on that coaching model is to really look at the practices and the foundational practices across math, science, technology, and computer science, and determine those intersections of practice that really, really get kids engaged with STEM learning. And it seems like, it just seems like the list goes on. There's so much support for this work. So with iSTEM, it's a partnership with the Educational Service Centers designed to support teachers in expanding their credentialing and learning to provide high-quality experiences in STEM fields. And so many of our high school computer science teachers have utilized this resource to expand current licensing to be qualified to teach dual credit or even to obtain an initial computer science teaching license.
Can I stop you just, what's the 130 current vacancies?
So there are a certain number of teachers we can support in this space, and I think there's ongoing, this is a model of ongoing outreach to get teachers into those opportunities to take advantage of this.
Do you have capacity to have another 130 teachers?
Actually, so what it is, we have this supply-demand marketplace that we launched, and what we're tracking really closely is what is our demand across Indiana for all positions, and let's get down to exact. What is it for STEM? What is it for SPED? What is it for EL? What about bus drivers? So one of the things we're really trying to monitor is also, what's our supply? This would be a supply mechanism to supply classrooms to what our demand is. So I think what this is showing is that we have about 130 current vacancies in Indiana classrooms in STEM areas. And again, what we're watching closely is the pipeline, that supply. You can see it was on there. We had, I think our slide deck says about 400. We have about 800 who have since applied to be part of the supply since June. So this has been really, really helpful. We started first as a team, right, together in SPED, really have seen a reduction in our need there, then went to EL because we have a trajectory going up in EL, then launched STEM. We're looking at one more area right now to launch, to triage a position. So that's a little bit more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jenner. And then finally, just in closing, I would like to leave a few thoughts on this notion of AI literacy. As the Indiana representative in Code.org's CS Supervisor Group, I've had the opportunity to participate in Teach AI, which is a coalition between Code.org, ETS, ISTE, the Consortium for School Networking, and a whole long list of other organizations in coordination with the World Economic Forum. And a key message of this initiative is that AI literacy, which is the intersection of digital literacy, or what AI tools can I use, and computer science, which is how does it work, has the potential to transform the way we work with students and the way we engage them as active participants in a technologically advanced world. So based on a research study done by the McKinsey Group, by 2030, activities across up to 30%, I guess I should say, of activities and hours worked across the U.S. economy could be automated, promoting an additional 12 million occupational transitions that will require upskilling with AI literacy. And so as I work with educators in the CS space to understand what their opportunities are to teach students about how AI works, sometimes there's a little bit of, hesitation, and I remind them that, AI is not going to replace people. AI will replace people who do not possess AI literacy skills and the ability to adapt in the AI-driven workplace of the future. So, excuse me. And so it's super awesome to share when engaging with other state computer science leaders. It's super awesome to share the work done by our digital learning team to award 36 schools the AI-powered platform pilot grant. And so this opportunity allows for, it's gonna affect over 2,500 teachers and 45,000 students who will gain the opportunity to learn how to use AI tools in education to help support the learning and educational outcomes of students. And when we think about, there's several key studies that have been done over the last year since the release of ChatGPT. And when we look at, and there's a range of percentages for this indicator, but anywhere from 87 to 94% of teachers have never received PD on AI, and they don't understand how it works and don't understand how it's the power of transformation. And so this opportunity for Indiana teachers and students to engage with AI-powered platforms through this grant aligns with Teach AI's principles for AI in education to help all students reach educational goals and maintain human decision-making when using AI. And so finally, while we celebrate the recognition bestowed upon Indiana at the Global Computer Science Education Conference last week with, let me say it again, 91% of high schools offering a CS course, we know that it will continue to require a joint effort across divisions to elevate computer science as foundational for all Indiana students. We look forward to continuing to center broadening participation in computer science in the conversations about our STEM programs and about the relevance of AI literacy, recognizing that computer science matters, and as we prepare all Hoosier students to be those critical thinkers and problem solvers and innovators of tomorrow.
So let's talk about a couple of things, and thank you very, very much. First thing, this board, prior to my arrival, before pre-2021, did a lot of work to make sure computer science was a part of Indiana's course options. So thank you for those of you for that. Our General Assembly, our governor had it as an agenda item that we were going to drive it forward. As you were talking, the saying came to my mind, which I hear from others sometimes, but that saying, often pleased, never satisfied. Mm-hmm. And I feel a little bit like that in this space. We have 91% access. Great. We're pleased. Woo. But we're not satisfied, because when you look at the number of students who are actually taking the courses versus you look at the requirements in the future, and again, I already mentioned the hard tech corridor, we have to really strategically continue to train and support our teachers as quickly as possible in this space. You mentioned that, as well as make sure our children are not just getting access, but they're actually seeing this as a major part of their learning. I think that's a conversation probably we're going to hear our General Assembly take up, and the legislative session coming up, as well as when the board starts rulemaking in April. Like, where does computer science, what does that look like in the future? And then beyond that, you also heard mention data science. The other thing we have to do as a board is reconstruct a bit our math or review. I would say it's probably going to be some reconstruction. We're going to need to reconstruct our math pathways a bit. And it goes back to still we have calculus as the top course that students can finish with. Calculus will probably calculus will still be an option within our pathways, but that was really set up for the space race. What about the AI race? What about what's coming there? And the push is that we build out some sort of a data science math pathway, and that you mentioned it, that we integrate computer science within Algebra 1. What does that look like? There's not a state in the country that has, I think some are working to figure it out, but I don't know that anyone has launched, here's what it looks like. I think that's gonna take all hands on deck. The only other thing I'd mention is, and the board knows this, I'm always super hypersensitive to mentioning vendor names because we have so many vendors who really contribute to the good work we're doing. There are other vendors in addition to on that slide. Project Lead the Way came to mind when I was reviewing it, who are actively engaged in the computer science space, who we work with. And then, of course, part of legislation is we have to create a high-quality curricular list for STEM for schools to have access to. That had not been done for quite a few years. And so we'll be releasing that list again, which will be optional for schools to use the STEM list. We'll be releasing that in the required science of reading list early March. So a lot of other movement behind the scenes, but thank you for giving us a look at where we are. Yes, we're 6th in the nation, but gosh darn it, we can be number 1, and we should be.
I love that.
We have quite a few questions. I don't know who was first. I'll start with Scott and then go to Iris.
Good. Again, huge thanks to those guys for putting the presentation together and delivering the information. I've got a couple of comments. One is on the, Dr. Jenner, you're exactly right on, it's great we have access across the state, but the actual number of students who are taking it, and then I would go a level deeper, which is which students are taking it, right? And I think I really want to dig in on how many of our low-income students are actually taking computer science classes, how many of our Black students, how many of our Hispanic students, how many of our rural students, because that's where, again, I've talked a lot about the demographic shift in the state. We have to get all aspects of the state engaged, not just a certain segment of our population. And it'd be good to get the numbers and know what does that look like in terms of that breakdown of it. And then the other part on the AI, I'm actually in New York right now with a bunch of people, including a bunch of tech startups, heavily focused. I can tell you there is a tsunami of AI tools coming our way. Some are great and some are not. And I think, again, kudos to the state and Dr. Jenner, to you and your department for digging in on that and helping sort through some of that, because I hate to see schools invest in and spend resources on some of the tools that are just not going to make it across the finish line, or they're not going to be of sufficient high quality for our teachers and our students. So, but again, I'm amazed by this. Is the second gathering I've had in the last month on AI tech stuff, and we're going to be inundated with opportunity, and it's figured out which opportunities are the best ones. So again, thanks for the resources that you guys are spending on that.
So Scott, a couple of things. First, on the computer science data, I believe it's around like 80 plus pages. We have to do a report annually on computer science, which really disaggregates the data that you're asking for. That is a public record. Anyone can have access to that. We'll make sure all the board members have access to that.
And
ASAP.
and
Go ahead.
our team is currently putting that December 1st report together. So
Okay.
in very short order, you'll have the
most
most current,
recent.
the most recent data.
Perfect.
Last year's report is already on the website, but yes, for sure.
Yeah, and I think, Scott, that point about who is participating, that hits on computer science. That hits on what BJ talked about with Berry Global, right? Who is participating? Who is not only getting access, but who is actually participating in some of these important opportunities? So thank you for bringing that up. The other thing about the tsunami of tools, we're in a free market, thankfully, and the tsunami of tools is very real in the AI space. And to give you some perspective, when we had the AI grant out, I think we were the first state in the nation to do that. We had a very strong rubric on here's what is acceptable in terms of technology, and here's what's not. Because we don't want the money just going out the door to people who are like, yeah, we're building something. No, who has built it? And who is it? So you notice on the AI platform grant, we have 5 AI approved vendors. Our biggest one is Conmigo. We had 4 others. We can get you those exact names. But I believe we denied at least 5 vendors who were just not up to par. They weren't using the most updated technology. They didn't have their proof point. But it hits on, I think, exactly what Scott is saying, especially when it comes to education. If you use ChatGPT versus use one of these vendors that is education purposed, students will get different answers to certain questions that could be controversial. So it's really important that we make sure that vendor is not just advertising as an AI vendor, but actually a vendor with a really solid product and excellent technology. We're going to stand really strong on that one.
Yeah, and I would also just add to that too, that Teach AI, the coalition, they are working rapidly. They've already produced policy toolkits and checklists and things that schools can use to be able to vet, internally how they want to integrate and use AI tools. And so we are leading by example at the state through our process of vetting vendors, but schools are definitely have a lot of resources through the Teach AI toolkits to help them make some decisions, because it's right. You're right. It's a tsunami, and it's a rapid fire decision-making process.
Yeah, it is. Iris.
What I'm starting to see in business and industry in the startup space is really kind of a shift in, they call it kind of the ecosystem economy. And Tim Knowles mentioned a education ecosystem, and I do a lot of work in building entrepreneurship ecosystems. But when I think about computer science, I think that every single kid in our state should have computer science, and it should be integrated. So when you think about what an ecosystem means, it means skills are transferable, knowledge is transferable, and it can be applied in a lot of different ways. I think this movement plus competency-based learning allows schools to think differently about unsiloing and unpacking their education and their pathways, so that students are starting to see the applicability and the transferability of what it's actually like in the real world in business and industry today. So one, I'm just super excited to hear this conversation, but my second question is, why is it in a silo? Why aren't all kids having integrated computer science across the board, the same way we should have, entrepreneurial mindsets and some other things. So just wanted to make that.
Stay tuned to the Indiana legislative session beginning in January.
Great.
Anything else? Yes, Byron.
So forget the tools for a minute and let's think about the student. So a couple weeks ago, I had a chance to spend some time with Hattie Partovi from code.org. And one of the things that we talked about that was really impactful for me, really made me think about, was the fact that when the social media, when you think about that timeline of all the social media pieces that happen, we didn't really do anything to prepare our kids for that, right? And we now have the opportunity to do that. So I love what you've got. And so my question is, or one comment, let's remember helping the students think through this, right? It's one thing to get the right tools, great stuff, but I care more about how do our students know how to use those tools, right? Ethically, morally, and to really use them in the right way. And that's me being for AI, right? But we need to make sure we do that. And so my question is, what has I wish the president's executive order would have come out prior to that conversation, because I'm sure he would have had some great things to say about that. How has that affected the work that you're doing? Is that informed anything that you've done on AI?
The president's executive order?
Yeah, that dealt with really some pretty powerful things about about how we need to teach AI and those kinds of things. And if you're not up to speed on that yet, do not worry. I just wanted to know if you all had thought about that yet.
I'd say let's hold
Yeah,
on digging into
sure.
that.
I'm happy to share our
yeah.
thoughts that we've had.
That's
and
just
we
a
can share
week
with the
old,
board
so
later.
but I think it's important.
I think there are a lot of resources coming at not only states, but countries throughout the world on how we should navigate the AI space in terms of regulation. We just had, nationally, they discussed this, as you mentioned, but also we just had in Indiana, a convening where they discussed AI very publicly and its impacts. I know they're in the process of generating a report. There are a lot of moving parts. Since AI is going to be transformational and it's very new, I think one thing we should expect is, I think we'll land a plane, but it's gonna have to take off again almost immediately. This is going to be a constant learning
Touch and go.
effort as we, in all sectors, including education. So I appreciate you bringing that up,
And please don't think, that is not me wanting more regulation. Because Lord
It's
knows.
not?
Yeah, I mean,
Just
you all
kidding.
know
Well-
that. I definitely would not. But I don't want us to miss the opportunity. We missed that opportunity with social media. It really did nothing when you think about it around, until later, until it was probably too late. And I think now we know we've got this runway, right? To really, to use your metaphor, to be able to use. So I just don't want us to forget that.
thank you.
We will not forget that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, well, as Kendra mentioned, it is Thanksgiving month. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Hard to believe we're about 2 weeks out. So enjoy your Thanksgiving. We'll be back at it in December. And on that note, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
See y'all.